have you written anything about the Columbia River in your theme?
No, not yet.
Say, I can help you with this part. We're following the old Oregon Trail. People say it's the most picturesque 70 miles of highway in the United States. When I hit this stretch, I know I'm almost home. You girls staying in Spokane tonight?
Yes, the Greyhound bus people made reservations for us.
We like to stop overnight and travel daytimes. You see so much more that way. Tomorrow we go to Canada.
Oh, I can hardly wait. Why, do you know I've never been out of the United States before?
Will you send me a postcard? Let me know how you like it.
Okay, I will. Say, that's just like Tex writing postcards to his horse. Wasn't that cute? This sound to me, I wrote it to Chuck. Dear Chuck, have been riding through Canada all day long and the scenery is scrumptious. Tomorrow Banff and Lake Louise, having a wonderful time, love Taffy.
You do have a wonderful time, don't you, Taffy?
Well, I aim to. Lake Louise. Oh, it's all I ever imagined it to be.
It's pretty.
The water is absolutely dreamy.
It's nice.
Well, what's the matter with you?
What do you mean?
Oh, look, honey, we've been here for 3 days, and what have you done? Absolutely nothing but sit around and moon all day. Well, you haven't written one word in your theme. You know what I think? I think the teacher ought to sit in the corner for being such a dunce.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Look, you cut your hair. Why don't you let it down?
Oh, Taffy, I knew I was wrong, but I just couldn't do anything about it. Somehow we always got my goat. Well, I'm going home tomorrow. I guess I missed the bus.
Oh, there'll be another bus along.
I wish I could thank you, Taffy, but there's nothing anyone can do now. It's been wonderful, Taffy.
Oh, Amelia, I wish you could stay all week with me.
I do, too, but I have to get back. I want to see my aunt in Chicago before I go home.
You be sure and write me. You hear?
Of course I will, Taffy. Goodbye.
Goodbye, and good luck.
Goodbye.
Maybe something good'll happen. I said, maybe something good'll happen before you get home. Bye. Bye. Hello, operator. He's connected with the rodeo there in Pendleton. Oh, you haven't? Hello, Tex. This is Taffy.
Avenue, next stop, Greyhound Terminal, Chicago Loop.
I'm sure sorry, ma'am. Excuse me. Excuse me. What? What's the matter, boss? Miss your bus?
Is the 230 in from the west yet?
Yes, sir. And unloaded.
Was there another section coming in today?
Not today, sir.
Well, I guess you're right. I sure missed the bus.
Did you miss me, too?
Amelia.
Oh, wait a minute. You don't get away from me again.
But how did you...
Come on, let's get out of here where we can talk. So when Taffy phoned me in Pendleton, I knew I had to head you off. I still wasn't sure about you, but when I saw your hair all fluffed up and no specs, I knew I was right.
Oh, you were right, Tex.
Well, now my ranch ain't isn't. I have to watch my now that I'm marrying a school teacher. Well, it isn't the biggest in the world, but it's all mine. With you there to help me, it's going to seem a lot bigger.
But what about my teaching? My master's degree? My theme?
Well, you can teach me from now on, honey. And you won't have to write a theme. We're going to live one. Just as soon as we can get a license and get hitched. I mean, married.
And you sent Taffy a wire telling her about us?
Sure did. Even sent my horse another postcard from Niagara Falls, telling him we were on our way home.
We're rolling along the highway. Highway, light-hearted and free and streamlined, stuff will not end. See enchanting places and greet new faces, and you will find a friend. It's a wonderful, happy feeling, rolling along the broad highway. There's the open road in view. Every mile there's something new to make your trip a happy, thrilling thing to do. You see that good old USA in the most convenient way. It makes a glamorous, thrifty holiday. We're rolling along the highway on a wonderful Greyhound bus. We're rolling along.
Now, like her big sister, the 743, the 3751s would be sold off to the public-private sector also. This is an old 743 of George Bernaccio, a Bronx bus operator years ago. However, unlike the 743, nearly all the 3751s and 4101s would be sold off. The vast bulk of the 743s were scrapped to Hausman Bus Service, would put them virtually in the bus parts business. Greyhound knew that the Silversides wouldn't be far behind as far as being sold to the private sector, not many years after these 743s would be, and as they were virtually the same as far as powertrain and running gear goes, that was a smart move on the part of the Hausman people. Thus, in an ironic twist, her big sister would be keeping her alive for many years to come when the said 3751 series, Silverside series, was finally sold off to the private sector. When they did become available, oh boy, everybody jumped right on board too, in a hurry. Here's Green Bay Wausau bus lines, predecessor to Wisconsin Michigan stages. Green Bay Wausau went down to where that insurance company says their little railroad station, that little office is. Now that's a Chinese restaurant today. I know, I ate in it. Somewhat brilliant, I guess you might call it, was Suburban Transit's. That's not Suburban Transit, is it? That's an orange and black bus company from Long Island. That little girl had no visible identification on her anywhere other than the New York plate. But it had the colors. I believe it came from Suburban Transit. Here's Short Line of New York at Binghamton. This is not Hudson Transit's short line now. Those red and gray buses in the pictures are Hudson Transit's. Still a lot of diesel smoke hanging around from a car that pulled through the picture. But these are from Binghamton. They are not Hudson Transit cars. Not a bad looking Silverside right here. Lincoln out of Hanover, Pennsylvania. Good looking machine. Little dash of color added to her. Uh-oh. Getting caught in my own little trap here. That is not Lincoln of Hanover, Pennsylvania. That's Lincoln in New York and operating under the name of Yankee Coach. Here's a rare little girl. This was shot by a very young John Holbein. Miami Valley Bus Lines Incorporated, 3751. Anybody care to venture a guess where the Miami Valley is? John used to work at Tamiami Trailways, remember? Well, the Miami Valley bus lines came a long way from Miami, Florida. They're from Trentwood, Ohio. Still in their ex-Michaud colors is Cape Cod bus lines. All for the mid to the latter part of the 60s, early 70s, we saw Silversides everywhere. Here's an old Wynn Bus Lines car. Wynn Bus Lines is one of the prime movers in the Richmond, Virginia market area to this very day. But this Wynn car did not come by way of Greyhound. She came by way of Queen City Trailways. Again, another picture from John Holbein when he was just a puppy. This is Queen 2514. The Sussman's Star Transit. Star Transit's a Jersey operator. River Trails out in Iowa. Oh, the scenic cruisers back there. There will be a special scenic cruiser history section of a bussin' round coming up pretty soon now. Well, I remember these old girls pretty vividly. Plymouth and Brockton Silversides. I got to ride on them. So as the moms and pops got rid of them, the next step in their evolution, of course, is to house cars. Naturally, the house car people can do some pretty bad things to buses, including roof air. At least this one still has all her windows and she isn't butchered up. This old girl here is pretty rugged to look at nowadays. She's out in Fresno, California. This old girl ain't too bad. It's owned by Raz Transportation. They're getting ready to do a little restoration work here. This is a pet project of Raz. This poor little puppy with a set of big steer's horns on her nose. Pretty rugged shape she is. Looks like he's got a lot of windows blanked in, but she's still got her windows. This poor little girl here I caught in Reno Nevada. She must have had 10 gallons of oil back there underneath her crankshaft. Here's one that IBCer Andy Henderson owns. As a matter of fact, he owns a couple of them. This car here is in Weedsport, New York today. This was when she was down at an IBC Jersey meet. We recently held a Jersey meet, the first one in several years because I live so far south now. But we used to have them fairly regularly up in when I lived in Massachusetts. Of course, you can't take that picture anymore. That's all built up down along that waterfront. That's New York City, obviously, in the background, in the borough of Manhattan. Here's the Hot Nuts. She's obviously still kept pretty much a bus. Boy, you know something? That looks like the Silverside that's sitting up in Somerville, South Carolina. There's one down this neck of the world, too. One of the prettiest, and perhaps one of the, if not the ultimate, as far as mechanical running gear goes, restoration, is Wilson Bus Lines. Pete, Mike Gumby, and Scotty Wilson, they're all legends in the industry. This car has been rehabbed mechanically so beautifully, you may qualify almost as being a new bus. The Wilson Bus Lines is in East Templeton, Massachusetts. They have a new project now. They own the Golden Chariot, and whether they'd be willing to negotiate this car, I don't know. You'd have to inquire of them and find out. Again, that's in East Templeton, Massachusetts.
I did a nice job on that, didn't I?
Beautiful. The only thing you missed was the gold. That window molding is gold, and where the
the license there box is missing. And a box there with the license on it.
It's an 06 license, or bumper plate. 06 bumper plate, or bumper.
And this is a real rare model then, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Antique down there, but
Pretty contrasted.
Handle them easy, boys. How do you feel, Wiley?
I'm all right. Get me out of here.
You lie still or I'll hang one on you.
But you guys are going home.
We won't leave the house.
Excuse me.
Hello, Lieutenant.
I hear the sergeant stopped the flak.
Yeah, last mission, too. I don't believe he's badly hurt.
I am, too. I need a nurse.
Mm-hmm. Take good care of him, will you, nurse?
You heard what the man said.
Dog. She did this on purpose. All right, soldier. I'll look after him. And if he doesn't behave, where'll I ship the body?
Somewhere in Minnesota.
Minnesota, huh?
North Center. But there's no big hurry now.
That's up to you.
Oh, listen, Lieutenant, it's so wonderful. She's dead.
Where's she now?
I don't know. We saw her on the track. The crew split up. I think I know your trouble, son. I felt the same way after the last war. You're still restless. You miss your buddies. Yeah, I guess I do. What a gang. That was the skipper, Captain Ed Ross, the hottest darn pilot in the whole Air Force. Bing Miller, co-pilot. Bill Coble, bombardier. He could drop those eggs in your hat from 30,000 feet. And Red, what a guy.
Who's Red?
He was the tail gunner. The only one I ever heard of who shot down 2 planes with 1 bullet. 2? How in the world did he do that? You'd never believe me if I told you. Boy, I'd like to see that gang again. That would be the best thing for you. Bing's in Detroit. Red's in New England. The skipper's out west. They're scattered all over them.
Well, so what? You just got through traveling all over the world. Why not taper off on a trip around your own country?
I couldn't afford it. And the old jalopy'd never make it.
I think I know a way you could afford it. Be wonderful fun and relaxation for you.
How?
Come on, son, I'll show you. Detroit, you say, is the first place?
Detroit, yeah.
Well, that means you'll go by way of the Twin Cities and Chicago.
Chicago bus now loading. Points east and south. Chicago, all aboard?
Now take your time, relax, and enjoy the trip. Come home when you get darn good and ready.
Maybe that'll be sooner than you think. After all this kiting around in the air, I don't know if I'm going to like bus travel so much.
Well, you'll like it all right, won't he, driver?
A lot of people do. I'll put your bag away, sir.
Thanks.
People are traveling now who never traveled before the war. But going to see their boys in camp got them started going places by bus. Now they found how easy it is.
All aboard, sir? Well, so long, Dad.
Go on, son. Have a good time. Thanks.
Pull that little lever.
Thanks.
You haven't been traveling much by bus lately, I take it.
No, ma'am.
I come from Seattle.
Seattle, Washington. By bus?
It hasn't seemed far. I've been comfortable. And there's so much to see along the way. Look.
Indians gathering wild rice. They knock the rice off stalks into the boat. I guess they've been doing it that way for hundreds of years.
I like things like that. To see different sights in different parts of the country.
Ever visit Mackinac Island up here at the end of Michigan?
No.
It's not too far from here. You take a boat over. It's the place that's spelled Mackinac and pronounced Mackinac.
Why is that?
I've wondered about that. Next time I go over there, I'm going to find out. The old fort still stands there. Since way before the Revolution. Used to be called the stronghold of the Straits. John Jacob Astor had one of his fur trading posts there. You can still see some of his old buildings. There are no automobiles allowed on the island, but you can go any place by horse and buggy. By highway is still the best way to see the country, but fortunately both the roads and the carriers have been made a lot faster and smoother since then. Or if you like to just sit on a porch and relax, there's the longest porch in the world.
I've got the notion to stop over on my way back. How far are you going?
I'm not sure yet. I'm going to look up some of my old bomber crew. I don't know how many I'll get to. Bing's in Detroit. He was our co-pilot. He's an engineer in one of the automobile factories there.
thousands of cars every day.
Gosh, Bing, some plant you've got here.
It's one of the General Motors plants. You know, they make so many of those Greyhound buses. Compared to this modern industrial city, you'll find just at the edge of Detroit a reconstructed village of 100-year greenfield.
Oh, yeah. Henry Ford built it, didn't he?
Yes, to honor Thomas A. Edison. He's moved in some of the real homes and business places of some of America's greatest names. Places like the Stephen Foster House, the McGuffey Log Cabin, the man who wrote the McGuffey Readers, Old Clinton Inn, first overnight stop of the stagecoach out of Detroit 100 years ago, like the Greyhound post houses of today. Menlo Park is there, Edison's old laboratory in which he invented the electric light. The courthouse in which Lincoln practiced law for 8 years.
I feel as if I was walking backwards through history. What's that?
That's Gog and Magog.
Who?
The figures over the doorway of the old jewelry shop. Gog and Magog, striking the hour. Two giants Caesar is supposed to have captured and chained to the gates of London.
Well, I'll be darned.
Car for Cincinnati, Lexington, Chattanooga, Birmingham, and Point South. Now loading at Gate 4.
So long, Keith. I wish I was going along with you. But give my best to all the gang, huh?
Sure. So long.
So long.
Say, you don't happen to know what became of Connie, do you?
Connie? Oh, the nurse.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Why don't you ask Tony? You'll be meeting him in Cincinnati, won't you?
Yeah, I'm going down to Kentucky with him.
If you were looking for a horse, he'd know, and you can tell him I said so. Oh, Tony, I can hear that horse laugh of his yet.
So that's what he said, huh? Same old thing. What do I know about you, nurse? Why are you all in the lather?
I just wondered. Cincinnati has quite a waterfront, hasn't it?
Yeah, one of the longest, 30 miles. Of course, it was the Ohio River that made the town. There comes the overnight boat from Louisville. Before the roads came, for 100 years or more, the Ohio River was the only highway they had east and west.
I never thought of that. Looks like it's still in use.
It's the busiest river for its size in America. Just now it's at flood state, so there's not much moving.
This is almighty interesting.
Wait till you see Kentucky.
Why do they call it bluegrass?
Under that turf out there, for about 1,200 square miles, is a layer of peculiar limestone, mostly fish bones.
Fish bones?
This part used to be under the ocean. That was before my time.
Oh.
The old fish bones give the grass a lot of phosphorus and calcium. This not only makes the grass blue-green, but it builds light, strong, running legs for horses. That's why we say good horses run anywhere, but they're raised in the bluegrass.
Is that why they call this section the horse capital of the United States?
Well, it's not only called, it is. Look at that. It's a horse paradise on earth. Luscious pastures, barns like cathedrals, and their own exercise boys.
There's a nice-looking horse.
Now, that's Whirlaway, having company today.